Welcome to the I'm You podcast. Before we get started, let's have a little fun. So, let the recriminations begin. Our vaunted media is now doing the postmortem, and, as objective journalists that they are, of course, they will obviously go into a period of introspection. Check this out.
It's misogyny from Hispanic men.
Right.
It's misogyny from black men.
We've got to be honest. Among Hispanic men and black men, there's a lot of misogyny.
I think that it had nothing to do with policy. I think this was a referendum of cultural resentment in this country. Do you think that uneducated white women voted against their reproductive health freedoms, and why do you think Latino men voted in favor of someone that's going to deport, says he's going to deport the majority of his community?
White women like being called uneducated white women.
Democrats orchestrated a very public stab fest, a proverbial stabbing in the front of the sitting president of the United States of America.
There were appeals to racism in this campaign, and there is racial bias in this country, and there is sexism in this country.
That was the day that she announced that she would be picking Tim Walz as her vice presidential pick, which I still believe was a fundamental error. I think that was the beginning of a cascade of stumbles that led to the outcome that we saw on Tuesday.
They're also blaming Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
He promised to be a transitional president. When he decided to stay, the Democrats were in a quandary.
How about the candidate? Maybe there's something wrong there.
She's like the worst politician I've ever witnessed. Like, she has no charisma. She never knows what the hell she's talking about. Like, who is on her team and why do they hate her so much? Because I don't understand.
Guess who they're not blaming? Wait for it. You guessed it, the media. So I guess I missed out on the introspection part. Now there are a few, and I literally mean a few, pundits who are criticizing the media. But those same pundits will quickly turn and say that's because the media was lied to.
What a load of shit.
We all know that's total BS. They were more than willing participants and wholly owned subsidiaries of the Democrat National Committee. From the beginning of this campaign, including Joe Biden being perfectly sane, adopting and promoting, by the way, every disinformation hoax the Democrats came up with. Here's a partial list. Hunter Biden's laptop, the mRNA vax harm, the plandemic, the lockdowns, ivermectin efficacy, HCQ efficacy, that's hydroxychloroquine, by the way, that face masks were useless, censorship of social media, Epstein's sex island, elite pedophilia, but biolabs in Ukraine, child sex trafficking, Russiagate, the Steele dossier, and Ukraine corruption, to Kamala running a flawless campaign. Check this out.
Kamala Harris ran basically a flawless campaign, but
ran an incredible campaign. And I think because she ran an incredible campaign, it's been very telling about who we are.
She ran a flawless campaign, and I maintain that. I think
She did a phenomenal job.
Yep.
She went all out.
Use her failed run in 2019 and hold it against her after watching this incredible campaign she's run now.
I think Kamala Harris hit her marks. I think most everybody that saw her campaign thought that she far exceeded expectations.
Nothing that was true yesterday about how flawlessly this campaign was run is not true now.
Now keep in mind, these are the people who have been telling you how objective they are. And they have such disdain for the American people and even their own viewers that they couldn't stop lying to them even when their ratings tanked and poll after poll showed people don't believe them. And their most insidious type of lying is lying by omission. In other words, purposely not reporting stories that are positive for Trump or conservatives or negative for Democrats. And does anyone remember these outlets reporting on Joe Biden and Hunter Biden's corruption, getting tens of millions of dollars from foreign countries, including some of our enemies? Anything about Kamala Harris' husband smacking around his girlfriends? Tim Walz making his state a sanctuary for children's transgender surgery, meaning child mutilation. Donald Trump signing 4 peace treaties between Israel and Arab countries when he was president? Or the 80% of the country that doesn't want men playing in women's sports? Yeah, me neither. If it wasn't for conservative media, the entire country may not even know what happened. They even refused to air Trump's live rallies. That's just disgraceful.
He's speaking again, this time to an audience of his supporters that's gathered for a campaign fundraiser tonight at his golf club and summer home in New Jersey. We knew heading into this that he was planning to make these remarks. We are prepared for his pre-fundraiser remarks tonight to again be essentially a Trump campaign speech. Because of that, we do not intend to carry these remarks live. As we have said before in these circumstances, there is a cost to us as a news organization to knowingly broadcast untrue things.
What?
Think about it. They're not even allowing their viewers to see or listen to one of the major party candidates for president of the United States. Could you imagine, just in 2008, since there wasn't as much social media then, all the newspapers and TV news stations refusing to do positive stories on Barack Obama? I think the country would be up in arms, including a lot of Republicans, by the way. As I mentioned before, they adopted every single anti-Trump hoax the Democrat Party came up with, including the threat to democracy hoax, the Trump is Hitler nonsense, he's going to execute his political rivals hoax, and even making up some of their own.
You cannot shoot American citizens. You can't have the military shoot American citizens. He's going to replace people in the Department of Defense with people who will say you can, and that you can deploy the military against protesters, that you can arrest journalists for reporting things that Donald Trump doesn't like.
Or executing generals on the street. ABC, CBS, NBC, CNN, MSNBC, PBS, Washington Post, New York Times, LA Times, Atlanta Journal-Constitution all basically gave Kamala Harris 24/7 free advertising for over 100 days, and she still lost. If she had to pay for that advertising, it would have cost her over $1 billion. The FCC should be prosecuting these outlets for making in-kind contributions to Kamala Harris. After such an obvious and massive electoral wipeout, the question should be, did the media learn anything?
That is terrifying. We're seeing termites unleashed on everything. And this is a termite appointment.
They are MAGA warriors. They are in your face. Correct. These are not uniting people. These are not uniting picks. These are in your face to the medical community, to the intelligence community, to the military community.
This is the cabinet that you nominate to not to run the U.S. government to do anything, but to destroy the U.S. government.
Trump will fulfill his promise to be a dictator on day one.
He sends troops into neighborhoods like my own to try to round up undocumented immigrants, that he sets up a network of camps.
America stands on the precipice of an authoritarian style of governance never seen in its 248-year history. After defeating Vice President Kamala Harris, who would have become the first female U.S. president, Trump will bring his own historic first into the White House. The only president convicted of dozens of crimes, accused of dozens more.
Nope. Not only did they not learn anything about themselves, they're already started the new resistance. And I saved the best for last.
You can't talk broad themes. You have to boil it down to nuts and bolts, and you have to be pithy. What do I mean by pithy? How about this? Republicans want to kill your kids. It's actually true.
Damn!
This sounds familiar in some way.
Now stand aside, worthy adversary.
'Tis but a scratch.
A scratch? Your arm's off.
No, it isn't.
Well, what's that then?
I've heard worse.
You liar.
And even though it almost literally nauseates me to watch any of them for more than just a few minutes so I can get some of these clips, I hope they don't stop. I really don't. It just means more winning for us. Lastly, can you imagine what the Trump victory would have been if these so-called news outlets were even moderately objective? And if they actually didn't tell outright lies or hide positive stories about Trump? He would have won about 500 electoral college votes and probably 75% of the popular vote, or even more. And by the way, there may never be another Democrat president if they were objective. Well, that's about it for today. Please like, share, subscribe, and leave me a comment. I really love to hear your feedback. So I hope you're having a great day, and I'll see you on the next one.